So today I probably got one of the greatest fucking guitars that I've known personally and I've ever got to work with. So Kylan, I'd like to thank you for actually being here, coming through, jamming out before we started.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thanks for having me.
So I've gotten to work with you, I've gotten to watch you play, listen to you, and I want to know some things.
Cool, man. Yeah, I want to say before we start off, I appreciate all the work that you put into the band, all the
It's my
stuff behind
pleasure.
the scenes, and good stuff, man.
It's more of an honor and a passion. So we talk a little bit, at practice and whatnot. But I figured everybody else can get a chance to know what you do, what you're about, what you do when you're not playing with the band, when you're not playing a guitar at all. And I don't know. We'll go from there.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
So, why did you want to play? What made you want to pick up a guitar and start jamming out?
Well, as funny as it sounds, Guitar Hero was probably one of the first things I saw that made guitar really appealing, as a kid, like 10, 11 years old. Guitar Hero 2. I think I was late to the ball game. Yeah, I think I missed Guitar Hero, the first one. But got that game and started playing on that a lot. And then once I got to the point that I was kind of like wanting to learn more songs that weren't on the game, that's when I realized like maybe I'm going to have to learn the real guitar instead of keep playing the game.
Did you ever try out that rock band or whatever it was that actually taught you?
I never got into rock band. I think at that time I was trying to actually start a rock band by then.
Weren't we all?
Right? Yeah, man. Shout out to Zach Wilt, like 14 years old. That was like my first attempt at putting a band together. It was just me and him on drums, and that was a cool experience, trying to play to a beat and, mostly playing like AC/DC songs and things like that. But
How old were you at the time?
14.
Really?
Yeah, so that definitely kept things exciting from the beginning,
What was the first song you learned that you actually can say that you knew?
Well, it's going to sound funny and unconventional, but I kind of learned like the beginning to the Godfather theme.
Really?
Because it's just like a chromatic thing at the beginning, and then it goes into like a minor pentatonic type thing, so wasn't too bad to get through. I didn't learn the entire song till much later, though. That was definitely something I had a bad habit of in the beginning. I'd learn like riffs here and there.
That's not typical. I was expecting maybe AC/DC or something.
Well, let me really rack my brain for a sec and try and think of what was some of the first actual, riffs and stuff. I know Metallica was one of the first huge things that was like, whoa, a guitar can do that, and hearing different, like, Fight Fire with Fire and Master of Puppets, and, those riffs were so powerful and cool, and being a kid,
Seek
you're
and
like,
Destroy and
yeah, all that
that
stuff, you hear that, and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. So you could definitely say I was a metalhead starting off, but then the more I got into guitar solos and what kind of goes into that, that's when I realized, like, oh, I really like blues and that kind of thing.
When you first started, did you have any technique you wanted to do, wanted to learn? And after, to this day, what is your favorite technique?
Well, I would say definitely, I like to bend notes a lot. I mean, the real, trying to bend different notes in key and have good vibrato and things like that, I would say is probably a main focus point of my style.
How about strumming? You ever try the James Hetfield?
Oh, man, definitely not James Hetfield. He's the master of his rhythm picking and, rhythm.
Down pick king, baby.
Yeah, man, the down pick stuff for sure.
What would you say would be the easiest technique? As far as strumming or finger placement, the whole 9 yards, what do you think is the easiest?
The easiest thing? Well, starting off with open chords is always a good place to start, Your open A chord, open G chord, things like that. hammer-ons and pull-offs are a relatively simple way to make your playing sound a little bit more articulate.
What's that? A hammer off?
Here, I'll just play a couple of hammer-ons and pull-offs. So, like, instead of actually picking, actually picking every note, you can go. That's a pull-off. That's a hammer-on.
What are you doing exactly? Are you like strumming all the way through?
So you just pick the first note and then go to the next one.
Oh, okay.
And then you hit that. And then like legato is kind of when you do like multiple stuff in succession. Like that's legato is kind of like hammer-ons and pull-offs, like really put together a little bit more, you know.
Well, go ahead and play a little bit more of that.
Sure, man. I just kind of play some, like, you know, your standard rock stuff, you know, in a pentatonic scale.
Yeah, anything real quick is fine. It's so goddamn delicious. It's disgusting. Gotta spit it out, chew it back up, and feed it to your grandma.
But yeah, that's like double stops. It's like what a lot of that stuff like. Get a good like rock sound from that. It's fun to do.
So aside from playing guitar, I know personally you work with eyes, eye care, optometrist, correct?
Yep.
So is there a reason you wanted to do that?
Well, the job that I was in at the time was not particularly favorable with with the pay and the hours and stuff. And
It's always an issue.
yeah, and I saw, you know, the manager at the time of the job I have now looking for somebody, and you know, I wear contacts, and you know, I've got pretty bad vision myself as well, and thought that would be something interesting to get into because I've done sales before, and it's a sales job, and you know, I like the environment, and it's something that kind of tests my brain, you know, and I prefer that type of work instead of like factories. I mean, nothing wrong with factories. Some people
No,
like
there's
to,
not.
you know, it just depends if, you know, you want to leave work like mentally fatigued or physically fatigued, you know. I've done both. So,
Side note, I did tell some people to come by Walmart,
oh, hell yeah.
so that way you can like hook them up and whatnot with glasses, what they need and shit.
Perfect, man.
I mean,
it's
I had
definitely good price stuff, good quality.
I had the same issue with like paying so fucking much for mine, and then I met you through fucking Cougar Trap, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, buddy.
fuck.
I think you actually did my daughter's eye exam.
Oh, hell yeah, probably. It's I work in a couple different locations with a couple different doctors, so I see all kinds of different people from around here.
Do you have any long-term goals that you want to pursue as an optician, as a guitarist, and a musician?
You know, there's always short-term and long-term goals to things. Try not to take things too seriously, though. You know, staying alive is always a long-term goal. You know, but no, you know, I'm always working on different certifications with my job, things like that. Here recently, a goal as a musician has been to become more proficient as a teacher. I've had a couple more students, and you know, teaching things, that's a different dynamic to music for sure. You know, trying to really explain the fundamentals and break them down in certain ways, and it's definitely been fun because, you know, goals kind of shift as you go by throughout the years. You know, I mean, the first goal was to get into a band for sure, you know, so now that I've been in the band, I think, you know, our goal with that, you know, is to always progress and learn new songs and get different places to play, and you know, we stay really consistent, so I'm really happy about that.
And you guys rock.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So you're in Cougar Trap, obviously. I work with you. I've heard the story how you met up with them, but I want more detail.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Exactly how did you come about Cougar Trap? What made you want to join up with them? And what were you doing before that?
Well, I think I'll go ahead. I'll start off with, my first band, like we were talking a little bit earlier before we started, when I was 18 and 19 and met up with Nico and his dad, Bruno. That was definitely a good time, starting to learn how to play full songs in a band setting, and being around Nico was a really, how should I say it, made me progress a lot more with the instrument than I wouldn't have progressed probably in the same way had I not been around him, and playing in the band. And that was a good experience to see what a serious lead guitar player,
He was your push.
a little bit, yeah. There was always a little bit of a friendly competition, I guess you could say. I mean, there really was no competition when I first met him, in my opinion. I mean, he may say otherwise, but so yeah, I did that for a while, and then I kind of started drifting away from doing music, but then
It's a bad choice.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I was still always playing music, but not doing necessarily the band thing and performing, always just kind of playing for my own enjoyment and stuff. But then decided, it's a long story, I won't go into too much of it, but was in theater there for a while, did a thing with that, and that kind of made me realize, like, okay, I like performing. That's, definitely something I want to keep doing. And I decided to sing and play acoustic for like a year, actually, which is kind of funny to think now because I primarily focus on the lead rock guitar thing. But
That's what you and Nico did, correct?
yeah,
acoustic
he
sets?
primarily sings, but I accompany on playing the guitar with that. A little bit of vocals, but not too much. But there was a time when I was doing the whole singing and playing acoustic thing, and then I met up with the singer of my last band that I was in, the Filthy Janes, and we started doing acoustic stuff, and we decided to, start a band, and, primarily she decided to start a band and seek out different members and things like that. So that was how I got hooked up with Cougar Trap, because I was doing the Filthy Janes thing for a while, and then just mutual interests, we all ended up getting to know each other and jamming with them. And I actually, the first gig I went to of Cougar Trap was on my 25th birthday.
Really?
A little fun fact. Yeah, it was pretty cool, and I remember just thinking, like, wow, this is the type of band I want to be in. I mean, I liked the band that I was in, and no disrespect to them, I mean, it was fun and great, and enjoyed all the music I played in that band. But the set list in Cougar Trap, I was like, man, I love all of these songs, and the energy of the performance and the crowd and everybody. It was like, it was like a local band scene that I was like, I really want to be a part of that. That's pretty.
They do
cool.
have a range,
and
a range of songs.
Oh yeah. And,
Well, you guys, I should say, sorry. You
well,
are part of Cougar Trap.
Yeah, for several years now, actually. It's kind of crazy to think. Time's flown by. But they had an original guitar player that was amazing, really good, and he was in the band for like 6 months, I think. And then as soon as he decided he wanted to pursue some different things musically, I'd already developed that friendship with Jake, and was like, man, I am definitely interested in something like that, and just kind of started rehearsing and going over different things, and it just was a very natural process, though. We just kind of started jamming together, and the chemistry musically with everybody was just really there. And Nick was actually not in the band for the first like 6 months I was in the band. They had an original drummer as well. So then once Nick, I mean, I really like the original drummer. He's, he still plays a little bit of music here and there as well. Super cool guy. But once Nick came into the band, it's kind of felt like, like how it's, how it is now,
The puzzle fit together.
Yeah, like it was kind of like everything was, kind of set in motion at that point. We really started kind of, jamming together and
You said
expanding.
you said it felt natural when you started up with them. I can relate to that. When I first started with you guys, I thought it was going to be a little bit awkward, and I was going to rely on my sister, to kind of break the ice, to be our mutual. But the first practice I had with you guys, it felt natural. Like I'd been doing it with you for a while now.
Right. You definitely have come a long way with everything, man.
Thank you. And it's been more of a pleasure and an honor to work with you guys. You guys sound great. you pay me good.
Well, I mean, sound is definitely an important part of, the band because I've been in other settings where, people have not quite been as concerned about that dynamic and everything. And I think that having a proper mix with things in a live setting can really make or break, how it gets across. I mean, you could be playing awesome, but if the bass is, overpowering everything and you can't hear the rhythm dynamics properly, or if the lead guitar is not set at the right, and it's sitting in the right spot in the mix and you can't hear it, I mean, it's disheartening as a lead player to go into a lead solo and, nobody hear it.
Right. We've sat personally and made sure, we mixed you up proper.
Yeah, getting the mids right and the volume and stuff. And I mean, and it's kind of one of those things too with, I mean, I don't rely heavily on guitar pedals by any means, but sometimes you'll get a certain delay pedal or a certain overdrive pedal that kind of makes you play, a little bit better or give you the illusion of feeling like you play better. And I think that having a good sound coming back on you is good,
Well, it's also comfortability or comfort for the musician.
Sorry about that. I had a little bit of distraction
You're
there.
fine.
No, but yeah, when you have like good sound coming back, it makes you play better.
Gives you better energy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with all this stuff. I started off with just a little laptop USB mic.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it goes. You start off small and build up from there, whether it's equipment or skills with a particular thing.
You got to be comfortable. When you get something new, it feels like you do a little bit better.
Yeah, and sometimes it's important not to overcomplicate things too, though.
Keep it simple and sweet.
For sure.
So another thing I wanted to know, what was your first guitar?
Well, my very first guitar was just a shitty little acoustic that I got for like $20. And
Walmart guitar.
Yeah, off of a buddy that had it that didn't necessarily want it anymore, and learned how to play my chords on that, and was able to convince, my mom and grandma that, okay, we'll buy you a guitar, you're going to spend some time doing this, because when you're 12, I mean, it's kind of, your attention span is questionable. So,
well, then let me rephrase. What was your first actual guitar then?
Well, then they got me this little starter Les Paul, like $200 starter kit, which...
It's not bad.
Yeah, so played the Les Paul, but then I tried out some different things. And got a little cat here.
That's chappy.
Tried out, like the shred type guitars with the whammy bars and things like that. Jackson guitars and Ibanez. Tried out Stratocasters for a while, then kind of came back to the Les Paul, ironically. I mean, like I said, so I started off on a electric Les Paul, but I did, try out all the different styles, and you kind of find what's comfortable for you and what you like. I mean, I think a Stratocaster is a great instrument. I play on that still sometimes, but I prefer the, Les Paul over the Stratocaster.
Les Paul is more Paul.
Yeah.
So, what axe did you bring in today?
So this is my third little new Les Paul that I got here recently. I just have to joke about it being the third one because, sometimes they kind of joke with me. I keep getting the same guitar over and over, but I enjoy them. They're definitely nice. They all have different characteristics to them.
I'll put a picture up for visual, but you want to describe what it looks like, how it feels, the weight?
Sure, man. Yeah, so, I opt for the Epiphone Les Pauls. It's the cheaper counterpart to the Gibson, but the quality of the Epiphones are definitely getting nicer. So that's why I wanted to get this. Once I played on them at the store, I was like, man, the quality is just really good. I've been playing another Epiphone Les Paul for the last couple of years, so I've just sort of upgraded, so to speak. I mean, it's kind of like with cars, I guess. You put miles on them and a couple of years go by, and if you want to trade it out or something, you can. But a good quality instrument isn't like that. I mean, you really do only need one instrument, and it can last you a long time if you take care of it and everything. And I've, really liked this guitar. It's the Tobacco Burst.
Beautiful.
And it's got a good weight to it, mahogany and stuff, all that. All that
Correct
good
me if
stuff.
I'm wrong, but you got that from Sweetwater, correct?
Yep, I always buy my stuff from Sweetwater. They definitely have good customer service and they treat you
Quality.
right. And I've
Oh
been to
yeah,
the-
customer service. They'll call you and text
Oh
you
yeah.
personally.
Oh yeah. I mean that's I mean that's nice to have if you've got questions and you want somebody to help you. I've been to their headquarters in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and
Really?
it's really nice there. Yeah, they've got a venue there as well, along with their retail part. And I saw Slash play there live. It was cool.
That's awesome. I really do like Sweetwater though.
Yeah.
I mean, I always get quality from there. That's where I got the Scarlett 18i20 from, as well
Oh,
as
they got good
the
payment
mic and
options
whatnot.
all that fun stuff.
So we've talked about what inspired you and made you want to pick up the guitar. Is there any band or musician, solo artist, that you would consider your favorite, or
Well, yeah, like
something
you
along
know.
those lines?
Well, yeah, starting off, yeah, Metallica and Guns N' Roses were definitely my favorite. And
When you say
branched off-
Metallica, which era?
definitely, before the Black album, they're more thrash metal type stuff. I mean, that's where got into the riff side of things, and then of course Slash's solos and everything, and that kind of led to Jimi Hendrix, and definitely really into Jimi Hendrix and Slash, and that kind of leads into the Stevie Ray Vaughan style, and John Frusciante from Red Hot Chili Peppers, all that kind of stuff is definitely a big influence.
You're a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix, I've noticed.
Yeah, definitely. A big part of that is because once you learn how those chord voicings work and playing with your thumb and stuff for like the root note, I'll kind of demonstrate that a little bit here. If you're playing like you're hitting the bass note and then the chord, and it frees up your pinky to do fun little articulation things with it. So that was always fun, learning a lot of that kind of stuff, and that's how you play the Red Hot Chili Pepper stuff too. So more or less learning that style is pretty cool.
So you give guitar lessons to damn it, I'll start that over, sorry.
All right, you're good.
So this evening, before you came by, you gave a guitar lesson. How did those go?
Yeah, so I do that from Dustin Danger's studio that he has in Oakwood. Rebels Fair is the name of everything going on with that. And you can get 30-minute lessons or hour long, and if you're interested in that, we can talk about prices and all that. Anybody wants to message me or message Dustin Danger or Rebels Fair or any of that.
With that being said, what is the best advice that you could give to younger musicians who are wanting to learn how to play? For free, I should say.
Just to be very observant and to be open to new ideas, and never necessarily think that you've got it figured out. Watch other people and learn different concepts, and don't shy away from learning the notes of your fretboard. It's good to learn by ear, but don't shy away from music theory either, because the more that you have those dynamics to or not dynamics, I should say, but fundamental knowledge, it helps overall. I spent a lot of time playing by ear without a proper knowledge of music theory, and things can get confusing, and they don't necessarily have to be confusing. I mean, a lot of it's more simple than you would think, but not to dive into too much of all that, but I'd say the biggest piece of advice is just to be observant. Watch a lot of, you can learn a lot just by watching other people play things, or surrounding yourself with people that are better than you at guitar and watching what they do is definitely gonna make you better.
With that being said, one more thing before you start playing. You came up by You came up by learning from ear, correct?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff learned by ear. I was kind of one of the last generations before the internet took hold super, you know, not to sound old, like, but, I mean, internet's super prominent now, but it wasn't quite, one of those things when I was 12 and 13 that there was a surplus of lessons on YouTube like there is now. It's great now. You can learn almost anything you want, piano or guitar or anything. But back then, Guitar World magazine was like a big part of my life. Would get those issues in the mail, and they would have the tablature to teach you different things, and it would always be really exciting to see your favorite song or something in there. And that's kind of what led me to have the bad habit, though, to learn like different bits and pieces of songs. I think sometimes it would only show you a bit or piece of the song, but having other friends that played guitar, sometimes they would learn different parts and I would learn different parts, and we'd come together and kind of teach each other. So I mean, to say that I'm entirely self-taught would never be quite accurate, because there's always been help along the way from different people. And I was talking a little bit earlier about being brought up from a young age around different people that are musicians, and you pick up on different things, and sometimes they'll give you little pieces of advice. And like I was saying earlier about being observant, if you take the time to listen to the advice and apply it, and even if you don't understand the piece of advice at the time, but keeping it in the back of your mind for one day when maybe it does make sense, and you have like that moment where you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Even with the access to YouTube and everything that it has, I feel like learning hands-on with somebody is a lot better and a lot easier too.
Well, being able to have that feedback is always important.
Oh yeah.
If you don't want to develop bad techniques early on, because then it's just like anything else. I mean, martial arts comes to mind. If you have like a really bad habit of doing something, then you're going to have to practice the right way that many more times to correct the muscle memory that you develop doing things in a wrong way. So having a instructor can help with that sort of thing. But that's kind of where it comes back to being observant as well. You got to be sort of honest with yourself and look at how you're doing a certain technique and realize, maybe I'm not holding the pick correctly or picking in a right way, or, maybe I could, utilize a little less motion or energy with my fretting hand to get a certain thing across,
Well, with that being said, go ahead and play whatever you feel like, man.
Sure, cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Kylan Kurkendall on Spliffs and Riffs. Thank you for coming, Kylan. If you want to see Cougar Trap on the next show, it'll be New Year's Eve at Stefani's. We'll love to see you there. Love to see you trap out. Have a great day and a great night.